Hi and welcome to another Views from the Valley, your weekly roundup of the news here at the v3.co.uk offices in San Francisco. With me as ever, Shaun Nichols. Hi Shaun.
Hi Ian.
Right, okay, busy news week, but today you had when it comes to doing fear, uncertainty and death, we had the most damaging piece of malware for the last 10 years.
Yes, because the decade is now officially over, it's 2011.
But Mac had this party and everything.
McAfee went back and basically did a look back on some of the worst malware samples from the last decade, starting in 2000 with I Love You all the way up into Zeus and Configure and some of the other ones. It actually turns out that MyDoom virus was 2004, I believe, was actually the costliest virus in terms of damages done and then cost to clean up and repair and everything.
So what was the total damage cost?
I want to say it was $38 billion.
You'll have to read the story on the site to find out.
Yeah, it was pretty expensive.
I was really surprised going through that story, though, because, I mean, you'd think, 2004, if you think about how many computers are in operation then as there are now, you'd think the most destructive virus would be the one that was released, say, 2008 or 2009.
Well, and one thing they didn't really clarify, because you have things like Zeus and Configure that are still going, but they also act in different ways.
True.
The point was that early on you had these viruses that were kind of designed to basically damage or create as much noise, get as much attention as possible. So they were a lot more destructive. Now it's much more try to use little footprint as possible.
Yes, exactly. You stay under the radar.
Yeah, exactly. Be very, very
hello,
covert.
look at me. I'm screwed your system.
Yeah.
So no, that's fair enough. I mean, it's. Obviously, McAfee know what they're talking about in terms of some areas of this, but I'm always slightly sceptical as well about damage complaints. I mean, your computer dies for 4 hours and IT has to sort it out. You might have lost 4 hours of productivity, but you gained 4 hours down at the pub. So, I mean, it's just, it swings and roundabouts.
I guess it depends on whose side you want to take on that.
Indeed. Right, in other news, we had the announcement from Google today that this is going to be their biggest recruiting year. So polish up your CVs if you are looking around for a new job. Basically, the company is going to recruit 6,200 people this year, engineers, sales staff, admin, marketing staff, across a variety of locations. Preliminary figures we've heard are about 1,000 new jobs in Europe, and the bulk of those will probably go to the UK. In terms of sort of other hiring news, also Eric Schmidt has left the company, as you may have seen on the site.
Well, not officially left.
Well, no, he's taking a backseat role and handing over.
Yeah, I guess the official explanation is he's going to be the executive chairman and basically work on things like business partnerships, government compliance, government contracts, that sort of thing.
Which is going to be key to Google's future, certainly.
Yeah.
And to keep him on side, he's just got $100 million payoff of equity, which vests in 4 years. Now, that may sound like a lot, but considering the guy's worth over $5 billion anyway, then you kind of wonder what $100 million either way is really going to notice.
Yeah, I mean, he was 2001 when he first came into the company, so he got a pretty good share of Google when it was valued a whole lot lower than it is now. So
some reports he's got over an eighth of the Class B stock, which is worth $5 billion. Yes,
he's not hurting.
No, but at the same time, he has turned Google from $100 million a year company into the billions of year.
Yeah, I mean, he basically saw the expansion from a simple search engine into this huge, highly profitable company. And I think this is something we kind of brought up in the blog post and kind of looking back on it. I think he really did best was keep the company focused on what made the money first, how he made money, what worked, and then kind of let everybody kind of do their fun side projects. I mean, you look at Google, they still get the huge, if not virtually all of their money from Google sites and their ad networks.
Yeah.
And then they do things like Android, Google Earth, all this other stuff.
Little things,
Yeah, well, little things.
In monetary terms, yes, at the moment, little things. But looking ahead, it could be quite big. I mean, Schmidt was originally brought on board with Google to provide adult leadership because venture capitalists didn't trust Brin and Page to do the job.
It took 10 years before they finally trusted Larry Page to take the keys to the car. So.
Although it was, Schmidt's tweet on the thing was adult supervision no longer required, which kind of complimentary in a backhanded sort of way.
Kind of.
But, interesting. We're going to see how this works out, and the payoff is nice, and as I say, polish up your CVs if you do want a bit of news with Google. Now, this morning I very nearly choked on my cornflakes because I was going through the morning news list and saw what I honestly thought was an Onion article that had been mistakenly picked up. Intel has a new director of creative innovation, and it's none other than the ridiculously named Will.I.Am from the Black Eyed Peas. Now, maybe I'm showing my age here, but to be honest, Black Eyed Peas is kind of... I'm aware of them, but they passed me by. It's just very in with the youth here.
Well, they've been a pretty established act for, I think, possibly going on a decade now. They've been around for a while. So, I mean, he's not exactly a flash in the pan overnight sensation. They've definitely earned themselves a lot of reputation.
But
which,
director
if Intel's looking to go into the music business, it's probably a pretty interesting hire. I suspect it's going to be more or less. He's going to kind of operate in a spokesman role, kind of a marketing role, that type of thing.
They'll produce a couple of cool-looking laptops with
logo. Well, I think we mentioned this. HP does a similar thing with Dr. Dre, where he does their audio, which essentially I'm sure is just a branding, basically, for...
I can understand that for HP, because they actually sell hardware directly. Intel sells processors, chips...
Yeah, but now they're trying to sell their processor and their platforms for mobile devices, smartphones, media players, that sort of thing. So I think that's going to be possibly the angle they're going there. They want to have this brand, this platform. I mean, Intel now is all about platforms, not just selling processors, but selling this whole, these whole chipsets and these platforms. And so if you can have this name, Will.I.Am, have a fairly big, digital media name to tie into this, it may help them from a marketing point of view.
But they're Intel, I forget which jazz singer it was, but he had a phrase about a bunch of people couldn't swing if you hung them. And this is Intel. I mean,
this is a company that 2 years ago said that their rock stars were the guys who invented USB. So,
very funny advert, but
that kind of shows you where Intel's coming from. So this is an interesting departure for them, I think, in that area.
Okay, well, you can read my rant on it on IT Sneak, and you can read about these and other stories at www.v3.co.uk.